My name is Tylluan. I'm a solitary pagan witch. I'm an author and the founder of the Wolf and Howl Press. And it's been a very long time since I did my last video here. That big sigh was not me, it was not Mr. Penry or anybody else. It was Noah. He's still here, he's lying down at the floor. So today I thought I'd talk a little bit about divination at this time of year, because we've just celebrated Samhain, Halloween, whatever you want to call it. There are all sorts of names for this festival that celebrates the ancestors and death at this time of year. And something a lot of them have in common is the element of divination that you do, you know, the trying to see what's going to happen in the year ahead. You get it round about New Year as well. It's another period when people do a lot of this kind of work. And sometimes people think, oh, I've got to have my tarot cards, I've got to have my runes, my crystal ball, what have you. But I mean, years ago, people did not have these things. And they, what's the word, they did the best they could with whatever was to hand. So I'll tell you a couple of these. You can see if you like them. Now that chestnuts, sweet chestnuts, are coming into the shops, well, certainly in the UK, one that they used to do was to roast chestnuts on the bar of the fire, or on a shovel on the fire, or presumably you could do it just as easily in the oven. But each chestnut had a name on it, if you like. They marked it with a knife, or if they only had two, well, one chestnut this side, one chestnut the other side, so they recognised it. And the initial that they put on it represented a particular person. So it was like, if you love me, pop and fly, if not, lay there silently. Terrible verse, but that was one. So the idea was that if the chestnut with the name of, say, Fred on it went bang and sort of exploded all over the room, and they did used to do that years ago, which is why they used to put them in chestnut roasters. It stopped a lot of the mess. But then the one that popped and flied, well, that was the one who loved you, and the initial of the other person, well, they didn't love you, they weren't interested. Seems a bit of a dodgy way to go about deciding your future, but I suppose on a dark winter's night when you didn't have television or anything like that, you had to think of something to do. And of course, if you do it with enough intention, enough concentration and focus, it's surprising how far you can make these things work. I mean, when I was a girl, we used to do divination with apples a lot. When I was in school, with school dinners and things like that, you know, you'd see people twisting an apple stalk and reciting the alphabet. So they're going A, B, C, and all this sort of thing. And then the letter that it broke on was the name of their future husband. Or whatever it was that they were hoping to get. Another one was that you peeled your apple very carefully, and it was essential that you peeled it all in one piece, which was something I very rarely did. And then you threw it over your shoulder, and where it fell, which was hopefully on the table, you sat with your back to the table when you did it, you could see what the initial was, and then you could say, oh, that looks like the initial, well, whatever. But I mean, given the nature of an apple, that it's curved, most of your initials are going to be things like S and C, rather than, you know, a V or a B, say. It's less likely. That little shape down there is Mabel, who started out as a lodger, but she's come to stay permanently. So these are little things you can do. And another one that was quite popular, particularly round about Yule time, and I'm telling you in plenty of time now so you can get this one ready, was they would get holly leaves or ivy leaves, and they would put a tiny piece of candle on it and then set fire to it. And it is possible to do it if you've got candles that have burned down and just managed to save the last bit. You put it on the leaf and you floated it on a bowl of water. And again, the same way, you could give a particular name or intention to the holly leaf with its candle, and the first one that burned out was the first one to go. And I mean, it could be quite, what's the word, quite grim, quite gruesome sometimes. because sometimes they would do it like, who's going to die this year? And then they'd give each leaf the name of family members. And the one that went out first, was the one that was going to die first, or the one that was going to be very ill, or whatever it was you chose to ask. So this is quite an interesting one, I think. There are things we can adapt, and even if we decide, no, we're not going to do anything like that, well then, at least it's fun to do. It's fun to know about it. I always think that it's part of our heritage, it's part of our history. People were doing it years ago, and it's nice to know about it. So there we are. A little bit of sharing now that I'm back on my videos again. So thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.